What's up, Yinzers, Yinzettes? Welcome back to Pucks and Net, where we're just going to give you the latest downtown breakdowns, talk about everything from the past, actually 2 weeks in Penguins hockey, because we didn't have an episode last week. So we're coming back to you this week. We got a lot to cover today. Obviously, we're winding down for the NHL season. The Penguins only have 9 games remaining. Obviously, their captain is in pursuit of NHL history. So we're going to talk about all that, much more now. What's up?
What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing?
Rhetorical. Great.
I kind of waited for an answer. That's how tired I am. I'm waiting for the voices to answer.
Yeah, well, it's been a long couple weeks. Like I said, we apologize. We didn't have anything for you last week. Just kind of crap hit the fan. I guess I could say shit on this podcast if we're not censored or anything. So, but anyway,
we're allowed to say whatever we want to say. We're not sponsored. We don't have to be kid friendly.
No,
or 3 adoring fans are all over the age of 18, and I think they're okay hearing that word.
All right, well, that shit hit the fan last week, and we didn't have an episode for you.
That's our bad, guys.
So sorry, we apologize for the inconsistency lately. I'm one of your hosts, Kelsey Cermat's Hockey News. You can find me on X at Kelsey_Cermats4. Blue Sky, same thing without the underscore. Follow the Pucks Nat Pod also. On X at Pucks_Nat_pod, and same thing on Blue Sky without the underscores. Hannah Kirkell is here as well, co-host, and she actually has a little bit of announcement today too.
Sorry, Kelsey, I got distracted by how fast you started talking for a second there. You put the podcast on 1.5 speed, like how I listened to 32 Thoughts.
We got a lot to cover today, so just wanted to make sure I can get all the other stuff out of the way.
Yeah, I did just want to make a very brief announcement. This is my last episode as the co-host of Pucks and Nat. Sorry, I feel absolutely awful bailing on Kelsey, but I honestly don't have the time to pay attention to another NHL team, especially right now, as you know, they're gearing up for playoffs. So I'm gearing up for a move to Vegas. I mean, it's very tough to follow, closely follow at least, to the extent that, Kelsey and the pod deserves. A team that I don't cover right now, that's just not feasible. If she'll have me, I would love to come on over the summer and catch back up with Yins, hang out, hopefully show off the new digs in Vegas. But for right now, this is my last episode as Kelsey's co-host.
No, you're never, ever allowed to return, Hannah.
Okay, that's fine. No, understandable. Have a nice day.
No, but in all seriousness, we will have Hannah back for guest appearances whenever she's able to, because obviously we love having you on here, and I love having you as a partner. This is a sad day for me, because I know we put a lot of, heart into getting this started, but I mean, the beat goes on.
Because we can say shit. I mean, shit, Kelsey. I sat outside in the snow like 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, you did. You did. Never forget.
No one asked you to do that, but you did.
Never forget. So,
oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously, we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. You're doing great work for Vegas Hockey now, and we can say our goodbyes later. But for now, there's just a lot to get to. So,
let's dive in.
Review. Yeah. So week in review. Do you want to kick that off? I know you.
Sure.
Go for it.
I was actually at the Columbus game. It was a lot of fun. I was at the Columbus game because, number one, it was Dollar Dog Night, and I'm always going to be there on Dollar Dog Night. I love a Dollar Dog. And also because there were no other NHL games on the schedule. Congrats, schedule makers. There were 14 games on Thursday night and then 1 on Friday. So
sounds typical.
yeah, fork in kitchen. But yeah, I was at the game. Good lord, Nedeljkovic was very good. He faced like 7 million shots by my memory. I think it was only 42. But I mean,
47 actually.
oh, 47. Yes,
Yeah.
my bad, guys. I mean, Columbus probably should have won that game, right? Like full stop, they probably should have.
I think they were the better team for most of the game. The Penguins
Yeah.
were very opportunistic.
Yeah, okay, that's
And
a very
also Boko Mama happened.
Oh
So
my god, Boko Imama. Kelsey, when I tell you the crowd was chanting Boko, they were chanting "We want Boko," they were chanting, I mean, everybody loves Boko, and I get it. When a team is not very good, you cling to a folk hero like Boko Imama who scores a goal and beats the snot out of people. It's the snot. It was a tame fight as far as fights go, but it was entertaining. It was Dollar Dog Night. He's gonna be remembered forever. Like
yeah. Is this shy of the Gordie Howe hat trick? Like, I asked him after the game if that's on his bucket list now, and he was like, "Oh, definitely." So be on the
it was his
lookout for
second
Boko
NHL
Mama
goal
Gordie Howe.
ever, his first in years. He
I think
put
he was
on a
with
show.
Arizona for his last one. So
He put on a really show. He put on a real show. So for Boko, we say
perfect. Perfect. And I do just want to add too. I mean, I agree with you. He's one of those guys that you cling to when a team just isn't very fun to watch.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: he's a very high character guy in the locker room. The guys love him. He's just like brings a really positive energy to the group. I don't have a problem with him sticking around as like a 13th or 14th forward. He doesn't have to be somebody that plays every day or is in the lineup every single day. But I do think there's some value to having a guy like that in your locker room, especially
Yeah.
when you're not competing.
No, absolutely agree with you. And even if he slots in on the fourth line, Boko Imama is not going to block Rucker McGroarty because Boko Imama is, a fourth line player or a 13th forward, and Rucker McGroarty is not. And the same can be said for Vasily Ponomarev, and the same can be said for Tristan Brose when he's fully healthy and recovered, and for Ville Kuivinen, and so on and so forth. People get mad about players like Nola Trari and, when he was in, Matt Nieto, and, eventually they'll get mad about Boko Imama because that's what people in Pittsburgh do. But if you're playing Rutger McGroarty, how much ice time does Boko average? Like 5.5 minutes? 6?
That's
6.5?
I can look right now.
Like, that is not the ice time or the role that you want your value prospects in. Do not get mad about a player like Boko Imama staying in the lineup because he's not blocking the guys you want to see. He's blocking guys like I don't even know. I mean,
Jimmy Huntington.
Yeah, sure, Jimmy Huntington or Emil Bemstrom or
I would even argue maybe not even him.
Yeah, okay. No, I know exactly. Sure. I'm just saying, like, he's not playing the role that. Don't get mad about fourth liners playing on the fourth line because your favorite prospect isn't there. He shouldn't be there. Like
540 of ice time average per night.
Yeah.
So that's not Rucker McGroarty minutes.
No. And it's not Rucker McGroarty situations. You don't send Rucker McGroarty out for a big hit in a fight.
No.
He's been in one fight and he got his ass handed to him.
Yeah, that was a pretty rough one for Rucker there. I commend him for trying, but he
tried.
I think that was one of the AHL's heavyweights.
Coldplay, when you try your best and you don't succeed.
Exactly. So yeah, I totally agree with you. And like I said, he's a pending UFA. It wouldn't surprise me to see them bring him back for a year or two. And like I said, I mean, he's somebody you can bring back cheap and somebody that can be a 13th, 14th forward, enforcer type role on a team that doesn't have much going for them.
Give him 5 minutes and 40 seconds of ice time to entertain the fans throughout bad years.
Yeah. And like I said, he
Just
doesn't have to be in the
2 or
lineup every day.
3. I mean, if he plays every game, he'll score 2, 3, 4. You can expect goals a year. Maybe he'll shoot higher, maybe not. I have no idea. I'm just gonna say 2, 3 goals a year.
Yeah.
And every time the fans will jump to their feet and cheer and scream, and he'll be beloved.
Yeah.
I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to sell tickets when the team isn't good. For a long time, they've sold tickets because of the team on the ice. Now they've got to sell tickets because of the entertainment. They'll have to lower costs. They'll have to do more dollar dog nights, and they'll have to get Boko Imama or a player similar to who can sell tickets not because of the player he is, but because of the personality he is.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even if you look at it in a sense from, looking at the impact he has in the locker room, he's also a good guy to have around for when those young guys come up because
because he's been there.
He's been there. He's been there, done that. And also, these guys are presumably going to, be a part of the picture next season. So if you have a guy like that around, he's not going to let those kids get pushed around.
No, I agree. And listen, he does have winning pedigree. He won the Calder Cup with the Monarchs. Back with Adrian Kempe and Paul Bissonnette. What a groom that must have been. But he knows what it takes. And sure, the Calder Cup isn't the Stanley Cup, but he knows how to win, and you want guys who know how to win when there's a rebuild, because, and obviously I'm not discrediting the people who have won the Stanley Cup. I'm just saying Sidney Crosby doesn't have a clue about, going from the AHL to the NHL and adjusting to that speed because he was never in the AHL. A guy like Imama offers something in terms of leadership that the core doesn't, and that's okay. And I'm really tired, and I really fear that this is making a bad impression. I'm just saying Boko Imama is probably a good player to keep around for various reasons.
Yeah, I agree. And just one last note from that Columbus game, too. What a beautiful redirect goal by Sidney Crosby.
That through the legs? Oh, my God.
And that shot pass.
Have fun not watching that in Vegas.
Listen, and I'll get to this in a little bit too, but Matt Grzelcyk actually did that in that game, and then he did it again in the Tampa game for Brian Ruskell on that shot pass. So just a really, really perfect shot pass by Matt Grzelcyk, perfect deflection by Sidney Crosby, which we've seen so many times, and we'll get to Sid in a second too.
Breaking news: Sidney Crosby good at hockey. Everyone is surprised.
And I did forget to mention too, because we didn't have a podcast the week before. Going into the Columbus game, the Penguins did win 3 straight games against St. Louis, New Jersey. Or no, they won 2. I'm sorry, they went 2-1 against St. Louis, New Jersey, and then they lost to the Islanders on Tuesday. Columbus game. So I mean, they were on a little bit of a roll before that. They had a 4-game win streak before the Islanders game.
That Islanders game was pitiful.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. So anyway,
was the Islanders game dollar dog night? It might have been. I was there at both, and one of them was dollar dog night.
It was the Islanders night. Yeah, it was the Islanders game because I was not at that game, and I know I missed it.
Dollar dog night, Kelsey. No.
I did. We had free ones in the press box that night, but I still missed it.
No, free ones don't taste as good as the dollar ones do.
That's
I guarantee
true.
you this.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the buns are getting stale up in the press box too. So, but moving on. So Sunday, the Penguins started a 2-game leg in the Sunshine State of Florida, and they played the Panthers on Sunday. And as we've seen many a time, Penguins lost in a shootout. Water is wet. You know that this just happened.
The sky is blue, grass is green, the sun will rise tomorrow.
Yeah. Just so nothing unexpected here, but basically, I mean, I think this was a case. You saw the Penguins play pretty well for the first part of this game, but then Florida just absolutely took over. In the second half of that game, especially in the third period.
That's what Florida does.
Yeah, they just kind of started smothering them. Sam Reinhart had 2 goals.
Power play.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, let's talk about a player who's really emerged as one of the top players in the game, Sam Reinhart. I mean,
Sammy power play, baby.
Yeah, like what a year he's having yet again. He's kind of leading the charge without Kachuk down there right now.
Was it last year that he scored 50 for the first time?
I think so.
I was there. He scored it in Philadelphia. He scored 2 goals that night. His 50th goal was an empty netter. And someone behind me stood up and gave like the loudest cheer. And then the guy next to him in a Flyers jersey was like, "It's an empty net goal." So that's his 50th on the season.
Yeah. But what a player he's become.
No, listen. It's becoming a bit of a trend. Players leave Buffalo. They get good. That's not how it is.
Yeah.
They've always been good. They were just Buffalo.
Just Buffalo.
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 Look at Dylan Cousins. He's the newest example.
Yeah, we'll see if there's any. We'll see if there's any other examples beyond this summer.
I'm sure there will be.
For the Sabres. But we can get to that later. So,
man.
This game was an interesting one too because Brian Rust. I mean, we'll talk about him in a little bit too, but Sam Hart. He's on a good tear right now. He had 2 goals in this game, 2 goals in the first period. The first was a power play goal. And the second, what a beautiful setup by Crosby. He kind of sent an elevated pass to Rust, who was breaking to the net. Rust deflects it with one hand, redirects it with one hand, tips it into the net. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous play. Evgeny Malkin also got on the board in the second period with the power play goal. Pens were up 3-1, and as we've seen many a time, they blew a 2-goal lead. Goes to the shootout, and they drop a goose egg.
Fork in kitchen. Water is wet.
Yeah, so, I mean, not really much else to say about the Penguins in shootouts this season. They're 1-6 in shootouts, 8-5 in overtime. If they could just finish games in overtime, they'd have a lot more points right now because they did hold most of the possession in overtime that game.
I'm sure they did.
But, yeah, it's
admittedly, I only watched the highlights of that game because the Golden Knights were playing at that time, but it looked like the Panthers didn't have anything in overtime. I really wonder what it is. Like even when the Penguins possess the puck in overtime, they either score immediately, like they did against the Golden Knights, or they don't score and lose in a shootout. Yeah.
It's basically one extreme or the other. I will say at the end of, in the last 2 minutes, I want to say of the overtime, they were kind of trading chances a little bit. Few nice saves made on either end of the ice, but at some point, Mike Sullivan, he was asked a question, I think, by your boss after the game, actually.
Oh, I know it was.
Yeah, and he asked, basically, why don't you all practice shootouts? And Sullivan basically said, through my experience, you can't replicate the same or simulate the in-game experience for a shootout, which is why they don't practice it.
Which is fair, understandable, but they should still probably practice it.
Agreed.
Even less if for the goaltender and more for the shooter, because learn a couple moves and adjust it according to the goaltender. I mean, the best shootout specialists have 3 or 4 moves that they choose from, and they alternate based on the goaltender, based on the situation. Look at TJ Oshie. He has 3 moves, and they all start the same way, which is why he's so good at the shootout because, you can't really predict what he's going to do. Do that.
Yeah.
I'm not a coach, but you probably should practice the shootout.
Yeah, and like you said, even if it helps guys develop less predictability.
In terms of goaltenders, everyone and their mother knows that when Sidney Crosby pulls up in the shootout, he's going to zig and zag and then shoot the puck right into the goalie's pad.
Yep. Try to go 5-hole.
But it never works because that's all he does.
Yeah, and it's a shame.
Some of the greatest hands in the National Hockey League.
Greatest backhand.
He doesn't even try to deke. Not even one deke. Forget 2 dekes. Oh, Kelsey, I used to get so much. I used to get the biggest headache because they send the same 3 players out in the shootout every time, and they never do anything. And oh, good lord. Anyway.
Yeah. What I will say about that, though, I mean, it's one of those things. If you look up and down this roster, I know we've talked about this before.
Yeah, it's not
there
like
aren't great options. I mean, if I'm Mike Sullivan, I'm probably still trotting out Raquel because historically he's good in shootouts. He's struggling this season. Brian Rust prior to this season, historically good in shootouts. Sidney Crosby, maybe try and Philip
He's not making my top 10. He's not making my top 5 shootouts.
Yeah, like at that point, maybe try a Philip Tomasino, Kevin Hayes, just somebody else who might have
Matt Grizzlick out there.
Hey, why not?
Who cares? This is a losing team. At least you put someone out there who's going to try something.
I'm still an advocate of Erik Karlsson and the Clapper. So
absolutely, listen. When you're tanking, you throw Erik Karlsson out to take a clapper from 50 feet out right into the goaltender's crest because the fans go, "What? Okay," and that's at least some entertainment. Like, that's new. Like,
give me some entertainment value out of this.
Exactly.
But anyway, so moving on, we are not going to spend too much time on this one because, oh my God, this was probably the worst loss of the season, aside from that loss to the Dallas Stars back in November that, ended up sending Lars Eller packing.
Arguably, that one was worse. I mean, Jari let in like four goals on 7 shots or something.
6 shots. Yeah. 4 goals on 6 shots. Yep. Yeah, so... Not much else.
Anthony Cirelli is his daddy.
Yeah.
His Wikipedia page is going to need to be changed. Parents: Anthony Cirelli, Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
Like, what else can you say? I heard Nikita Kucherov lost his teeth. I saw videos of him picking up his teeth in the goal net.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the second period, not the beginning, end of the second period rather, Ryan Graves interfered with Nikita Kucherov, kind of pushed him into the net with Alex Nedeljkovic. It looked like everybody was hurt because Nedeljkovic was down for a second, Kucherov was down for a second. Graves gets the penalty, and then Kucherov scores on the ensuing power play after.
I mean, listen, they took his teeth. I would hope he scores. They took his teeth. Did you see his smile after the game? He has 1 tooth and then a bunch of jagged shards.
Sweet revenge, baby. That's what Nikita Kucherov had that on his mind. I think
players, I know teams probably take care of this, but I think the player that does that to another player should have to pay the dental bill. I think that would teach them. I legitimately think that if Ryan Hartman had to pay a bunch of dental bills, he would probably stop doing the things that he does. I think if they had to pay for the damages they've caused.
Yeah, just another example of the crazy fantasy world that is NHL hockey. Just very separated from the real world.
God, it's not real. Sorry, very, very brief Golden Knights tangent. So against the Tampa Bay Lightning, funny enough, on Sunday night, the Golden Knights were on the power play. Pavel Dorofeyev, 30-goal scorer. Shout out to Pav. Run one off the crossbar. It was probably 88 miles an hour. It was an absolute laser beam. It ricocheted off the crossbar into Mark Stone's face. He drops like a shot. Eric Chernak is cradling his head on the ice. There is so much blood. I think he's dead. I think Mark Stone is no more. He gets up. He's literally gushing blood. As he skates off the ice, he's leaving a trail of blood. And he's just smiling and waving at the fans, telling them he's fine as blood drips into his eyes and his teeth. There's a picture of him absolutely cheesing with blood in his teeth. And I'm I have never been that happy in my life. He's going to have to get a new jersey because he's gushing blood all over it. And he's smiling like it's his birthday and Christmas and everything all rolled into one. Hockey players are a different breed, Kelsey. They're not real.
They're not real. You
My
might
son
have to get a
might know
new
I'm out of
face and
permission
he's
for
happy.
Like, hockey player will lose all of his teeth, come back and score a goal.
Yeah.
What? No.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pardon?
It's insane, man. But that was Nikita Kucherov on Tuesday there. So yeah,
he has like five consecutive 100-point seasons or something like that. The first,
I know it's 570 assist seasons or something like that.
I saw something about 5 100-point seasons.
Is he
shout out Nikita Kucherov. Very, 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 very. About 10 more varies good at hockey.
And very underrated hockey player too. When people talk
it's
about,
because he plays in Florida, Kelsey. Like,
yeah,
it's because he plays in a southern market.
Yeah,
he doesn't play in like Toronto or Toronto, so he's not going to get the appreciation he deserves. That's just how it is. I mean, it's dumb, but
yeah.
I mean, the only reason Matthew Tkachuk gets the appreciation for his play that he does is because he plays nice with the media, and Kucherov, I can't speak for all of his media appearances, but like he does things like he goes out at the All-Star game and slowly skates in a circle for a minute and a half, which God bless him for that. I mean, the All-Star game is stupid. More players should make a statement. You do that. Like, you go, Nikita.
The Four Nations face-off was like the Nikita Kucherov effect. They were like, no, we can't do this anymore.
They're like, we can't do this anymore. Oh my God. Just wait, Kelsey. They're gonna go back to it this year. It's on Long Island. Like,
oh boy.
Nikita Kucherov, if you are watching this, please get like 4 or 5 other players to just go out there and do nothing and make them cancel the All-Star game forever and ever. Amen.
Yeah, please. Or there's somebody, I don't want to talk too much more about this, but somebody, I forget who it was, somebody made the interesting suggestion of like just having a skills competition for the All-Star game.
I've heard.
And then for like the game, just have like a futures game, like have like top prospects and basically have like another prospect showcase or something. That I would watch.
That'd be interesting. That I would watch actually. Like that I would watch.
Mm-hmm.
It could like be an All-Star game, but for the prospects, and then that I would actually care a lot more about than 3-on-3 with the NHL stars, and you're just holding your breath, like, oh God, I hope they don't get hurt. I hope they don't get hurt in this meaningless, useless game where they're competing for like a 1/100th of their salary, like.
Yeah, exactly. So All-Star games should be a part of the past. Thank you, Nikita Kucherov.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Tampa scored 4 goals in the first period. And by the way, those 4 goals all occurred within 4 minutes, in the latter half of the period. Nikita Kucherov gets a power play goal in the second period. Brandon Hagel adds another goal by the end of the period. They went up 6-0.
Was it on the power play? Hagel's goal?
Hagel's was not, no.
Yeah, I saw something that was like he's scored like nearly 40 goals and none of them on the power play. Which is
it's insane.
Because he's on power play 1. He's on the first power play unit. How does he not? Like, okay.
Sometimes it is like, escapes my memory that he was once a Chicago Blackhawk. It just seems so far in the past at this point. It's just talk about another player who's just unbelievable. Tampa
after leaving Buffalo, by the way.
Oh. Yeah, it's just a craziness, but basically 6-0 at the end of 2. The only salvageable thing from this game was a Brian Rust deflection goal. I mentioned Matt Grzelcyk, another shot pass there. Sidney Crosby gets a secondary assist, and that brings him within 1 point of the NHL's all-time point per game seasons record, which is something that most Penguins fans have been anticipating for a long time, but especially this season. And, as I'm sitting there watching this game, I was actually texting my sister and I was like, I don't want him to get it at this point. Like, don't let him get it in this game. This is a shit show of a game.
Yeah,
he deserves better.
In a winning effort or in front of the home crowd. Like, remember when he scored his, what was it, 600th goal in front of the crowd in like a 5-1 loss to the UHC? At least it was at home. like
Yeah.
either have it be in a win or have it be at home.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
just
no,
deserves.
that's all I got. I feel like
Yeah.
he deserves that much. He
Yeah,
at least deserves a standing ovation or a win, like one or the other.
He just, at the end of the day, he just deserves to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because we've seen, I mean, I know, was his 500th goal against the Flyers, was that in the winning or losing effort? I don't remember.
That was in an overtime win.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right. So it just tastes so much sweeter with a win with that kind of stuff. Even
Yeah, but
after.
I mean, Kelsey, a win at this point would set the Penguins back decades. I mean,
we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, hey, they do have Buffalo next game. If they're gonna get, pull out a win, that's probably their best chance here. In the next couple games of their schedule. So, it's one of those things. Sid's going through it this year. And I think I saw something, with, him going to Four Nations. And guys, let's just take a second here because since the Four Nations break, he has the most points in the league. He has 8 goals, 21 points in 16 games since the Four Nations break. He's on an absolute tear. I'm not saying, the Four Nations break reignited his competitive spirit because you can't even say that the competitive spirit ever leaves Sidney Crosby.
No, but it probably rejuvenated him a little bit just because of, I mean, I'm not going to say, like you said, the competitive spirit doesn't ever leave him, but I feel like it probably put fuel on the fire, right? I mean, he won something. Yeah. I guess the Olympics are next year, so I'm not going to say it's probably the last thing he'll win. They might win at the Olympics next year. But like, you hear players after that just talking about how good it was for them to just be around all of those guys, that compete so hard and be around the coaches and the management. And I mean, that alone probably was like a retreat for him, like that was probably like his version of like a spa retreat, like
a walkabout.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. And it's one of those things. Obviously, Sid's privy to what's going on in Pittsburgh right now. They're in a transitional period. And just to see, also, especially considering the fact that, he probably wasn't 100% healthy. He may still not be 100% healthy. This guy's playing for something. I don't think people necessarily realize that this record means something to Sid.
Yeah.
There aren't going to be a whole lot of other areas where Sid can say he's number one at the end of his NHL career, just for the type of player he is. He's never going to beat the goal record like Ovi is going to, no. Which, by the way, for keeping track, he's at 899. He's just 5 shy of tying Wayne Gretzky for the goal record, which
Russian machine never break. Kelsey, 39 years old. I did the math. Insane. I did the math this morning. Had he been healthy for 82 games, mm-hmm. he's on a 54 goal pace right now at 39 years old.
That's insanity.
Yeah, like I mean,
insanity.
Listen, I know a lot of Penguins fans love to discredit him because they get, territorial and stuff. But the fact of the matter is, I don't care if he scores most of his goals from the same spot. Teams should adjust. They should be better at stopping him. Like, I don't care if you're going to show me that picture of him with his, his stick up in the air waiting for the puck. Okay, the teams should adjust then. They should be better. They should figure out how to stop him if everyone knows how to stop him. Like, everyone knows how to stop him, and he's still doing it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's insane. That's fantastic.
It's insane. And you know what else is, like, really impressive, I think, in particular about Ovechkin's, and I want to jump back to Sid in a second. If you look at games played, in terms of how long it took Gretzky to put up that many goals,
he might break Gretzky's games played record. I know he's going to be cutting it a little bit close now, but, I mean... Listen, I said before the season that it would take him 2 years to break that record. I'm eating my humble pie. I'm done betting against him. Oh my God, he might break it tomorrow. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
I mean,
man,
just
Whatever.
just the fact that we're talking about not only someone breaking the goal record, but also breaking it in just about the same amount of games that Wayne Gretzky took to score that many goals. That's crazy. I mean, that is crazy.
Ovi did it in an era where scoring was down.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Wayne Gretzky had 4 or 5 200-point seasons. I think it was 4. Right?
I'd have to look, yeah.
No, that is correct. He has had at least 4 200-point seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Ovechkin is going to break the goal record during an era where Jamie Benn won the Art Ross Trophy with like 89 points. Like, let's think about that, shall we? Look at the goalies that Ovechkin had to break the goal record on. And then look at Wayne Gretzky and the goalies and the save percentages of that era and the fact that they were wearing soccer shin pads. And I don't care. I mean, I think it's dumb that people try to discredit him because he scores. He's literally got like 14 more empty net goals than Gretzky did, so miss me with that. Wayne Gretzky scored plenty of empty net goals. I don't know. It's dumb. I have literally no reason to get mad about this, but I do. I think it's stupid when Penguins fans who should understand greatness refuse to accept greatness.
Yeah, and you know what? I just looked too. So Wayne Gretzky played 1,487 games. Yep. Ovechkin's at 1,481. So that tells you just how impressive.
Dude, like, he could do it.
This is, yeah. It's at the rate he's going, he honestly wouldn't be surprised at all. And loading quant hockey also
he can do it.
Messed up my screen, so I'm gonna exit out of that. Hope I get my screen back. But
dang it, Ovi!
Come on, Ovi!
Come on now!
You messed it all up. I was going so good there too, and now it's freezing again.
We had a really good run, Kelsey. We should. I mean, listen, for our last pod, we should embrace all glitches.
It just just absolutely all encompassing aspect of the show is all the glitches we've had. So yeah. But anyway, we probably should move on. I do just want to say just about Sid real quick though. Isn't it just unbelievable that we're witnessing an era of hockey that, all these records, we talk about Wayne Gretzky's goal record once being untouchable, this point per game seasons record. I don't know if this is ever going to be touched again. It might be, but I don't think fans necessarily realize how difficult something like this is to accomplish. And especially when you consider Sidney Crosby had 102 points in his rookie season.
Yeah.
He had 102 points in his rookie season.
It's not like he's been barely squeaking by. Yeah. Like he's been the model of consistency, and he's always been leading the charge. And that's what he's going to be remembered for. And I think it's really cool that he and Ovi are probably going to break 2 different Gretzky records in the same season, considering how they've carried the league for so many years. There was a time when hockey was totally on the down, and they came in and they saved the league. And I think this is how they both deserve to go out. They deserve to go out together, and they deserve to go out in their own rights on top.
Yeah. Yeah, and they honestly, I don't think there's a more perfect record for Sid to have anyway. This is just kind of embodies just his level of consistency and his level of consistent greatness. I mean, you can say what you want about who the Mount Rushmore of hockey is, the greatest players in hockey history. I don't think there's been a more consistently dominant player in hockey history than Sidney Crosby. I mean, this is unbelievable. And the crazy thing is, there's no sign that he's slowing down. I mean, we talk about this is going to be his 20th season at point per game. He very well could have 21 at the end of next season. And, another year later,
literally
22. Yeah, it's unbelievable how he's just beating Father Time. He's 37 years old. He's going to be 38 years old next season. And the more and more he plays, it's just he finds new ways to reinvent his game to make sure he's still playing at the highest level possible. And also, too, just a side note, another just incredible stat for Sid is that he's tied for first in the league in 5-on-5 points. And actually,
He
I
was
think now
at first before yesterday's games.
I was going to say before yesterday's game, I think he was tied with Draisaitl, but Draisaitl's injured right now. So Crosby is first in the league in 5-on-5 points at 37 years old. Just
wild.
Just remarkable.
And I mean, Draisaitl might not be back during the regular season.
No.
You know, like...
Which is kind of a shame also, because what a season he's having too. You know, at the end of the day, enjoy what you're watching, folks. I mean, this is incredible stuff from Sid. He's still getting it done at this age. You don't know how much longer it's going to last. I would venture to guess it'll last as long as he's playing.
Probably.
But,
I mean,
you know,
it's probably unwise to bet against him at this point. You know, I mean, it's he's good. Yeah. He's good at hockey. Breaking news.
What else can you say?
Oh boy, Kelsey has disappeared. This is great. Okay. No, this is.
I'm back.
Oh, thank God, Kelsey. I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna take this. I was about to go into a spiel about. No, this is good. Actually, this is another memory that will take with us forever.
Well, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We will get the trending up, trending down shortly here, but I did just want to give just a brief update because if you've been paying attention to Wilkes-Barre Scranton.
Hold up, no. Let's do trending down, and then we'll transfer. Then we'll go into AHL, and then we can shift that into the prospects.
Okay, yeah, I had it in the wrong order on here. So
no, it's fine. It's fine. I was just thinking that made a little bit more sense.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Trending up. Who's your trending up player of the week?
So I'm cheating. I have two. I'm sorry. I had to mention Sid in here.
Whatever, Kelsey.
So Sid is the obvious one, but my other one is Matt Grzelcyk. All right, so let's get the obvious one out of the way. We've already talked about how dominant Sid has been. He's on an 8-game point streak, by the way, which is the longest active point streak in the NHL right now. Like I said, one point shy of the point per game season record, and 8 goals, 21 points in the 16 games since the 4 nations break. You know, there's not a more trending up player in hockey probably right now than Sidney Crosby. I forgot his name for a second. My goodness. So anyway, I can't really, it's hard to argue against Sid trending up when he's just been unbelievable for a couple weeks time now. But I do want to get to, go ahead. Sorry.
And I know we kind of try to avoid giving Sid the trending up because he's like always trending up, and it would be unfair to just have him as the trending up every week. But sometimes you just got to tip your cap and be like, yeah, no, he's unreal.
Yeah. And also, too, I mean, just congrats in advance for Sid for breaking the record, because presumably you're going to break it before our next episode.
If he doesn't break the record, he's going to get you fired.
I'll lose my credentials if Sidney Crosby
does not get kick you out. Like, he will go to PR and be like, listen, this is why I didn't break it.
I'll proudly walk out the door, I think, if that happens. I will walk out the door and assume full responsibility. But anyway, presumably he will likely break it before
the
most
next superstitious man in the entire world, and you've just said, like, come
on, bro. I'm gonna knock on wood. I'm knocking on some wood right now, and my dog thinks somebody's knocking at the door. It's okay, bud. Anyway, so Sidney Crosby's trending up. And congrats in advance, Sid. Matt Grzelcyk. So just wanted to get to him for a second. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but he does have I put 3 points. Oh yeah, it is 3 points in his last 3 games. So 3 points in his last 3 games. I mentioned 2 beautiful shot passes on, Sid's redirection goal against Columbus, Russ against Tampa. But beyond that, I mean, he did go a little bit quiet there offensively for a spell. We've talked about in the past how he's already obliterated his offensive career highs out of the water. He's just continuing to build on that. But honestly, if you look at the last couple weeks, since the 4 nations break, honestly, the last month or two, in my opinion, Grizzlies probably been one of their most steady defensemen, if not their most steady defenseman. Connor Timmins has come in and done a pretty good job in terms of just providing that steady presence on the right side there. But Grizzlies really quieted his game down, I think. Over these last couple months, he's settled in. We're not seeing a lot of the glaring mistakes that we were seeing earlier this season. They're still there.
Honestly, and he did it like it wasn't like an abrupt change. It was such a like gradual shift that I didn't even realize like how much. I'm not gonna say better because like he's 30 years old. Like it's just how he adjusted to the system. I guess he did it so gradually that I didn't even notice it. And now I'll watch a game and I'm like, Matt Grizzly is very good defensive. Like maybe not very good defensively. I don't know. Is anyone on this team very good defensively?
Noel Chari and Blake Lizotte, shout out.
What?
But I said Noel Chari and Blake Lizotte, shout out. But yeah, I mean, and I agree. I mean, that's what I've kind of been thinking the last couple of months, because the reason I'm noticing this is because I'm not noticing him. And it's not a bad thing because he's just playing a really simple brand of hockey. He's not overcomplicating things. He's not overthinking like we saw him at times earlier in the season. Like everything's just really simple, really, really smooth. And honestly, the Penguins system isn't really a bad place for this guy, to be honest. He's undersized, but he skates well. He's good in the transition game.
Undersized defensemen in the league that do just fine for themselves. I mean, look at Quinn Hughes. I mean, I'm not saying that Matt Grizzlick's Quinn Hughes, but it's not impossible to be an undersized player in the NHL anymore. Not everyone has to be 6'6". It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely not. And I mean, another thing Mike Sullivan's mentioned this too, that I think he's does pretty well in general, but especially lately. I mean, even though he's undersized, he uses his skating ability to kind of get good positioning, and get inside guys. And like I said, I feel like I'm seeing a lot less of the glaring errors. I always flash back to that Seattle game when he just followed the guy below the goal line for no reason and left two guys at the net front exposed. Like, we're not seeing that kind of stuff anymore. It's honestly, I think it's fair to say, now I know a lot of people wanted to see him gone at the deadline. I had heard that there was activity around Grizzly before the deadline. Obviously, it wasn't enough. Dubas said the teams kicked the tires on him, and ultimately they just didn't bite. But it's one of those things. I feel like it's fair to say that he's earned an extension. I'm not talking about, like a multi-year, multi-million-dollar extension, but
I think it would probably be a good bit of business to extend him for another year. I mean, just give him a 1-year extension. If you want to flip him next year's trade deadline, I don't think he'll have the year that he's having next season, just because he's 30 right now. Like, I'm not going to get into that or what I think of other moves. But I don't think it would be a bad idea. I mean, he knows the system now. He's good on the power play.
Yeah,
he'll help Sid continue to put up points. And at this point, that's all the Penguins are playing for. And I think that's probably all they'll be playing for a couple more seasons. And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to extend him. It's again not really like he's blocking anyone.
No. Especially on the left side.
Yeah, I mean, Owen Pickering will come up next year probably. He'll have a spot. He'll knock. I legitimately don't even know who's on the left side at this point. Oh, Connor Timmins has actually been pretty good. So maybe he'll knock Ryan Graves. Oh, darn. Out.
Yeah. And I mean, the only other prospect that's like close-ish is Pianiniemi, but that's probably somebody who's going to spend the season in the AHL next year. Pianiniemi's left side, I'm pretty sure.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think
I don't know why I
Brunicke,
thought he was right.
Brunicke and Harding are right side, I believe. Well,
I
Brunicke
know
is right
that
side.
Brunicke is, and I know that Harding is, but I thought that Pianiemi was for some
I think
reason.
Pianiemi is left side, but I'll double
Maybe
check
he
on that.
played. You know what it was? Maybe he played on the right side for like a game or two during the World Juniors, because that really would have been the only game that I've watched him.
Yeah, I mean, he's played on both sides, but he's primarily left side.
Okay.
Yeah, he's left side.
And listen, I mean, Carlson, they'll probably deal him in the summer. Letang won't play forever, and I'm not going to say what I think of Vladislav Kolyachonok at this point, or Kolyachonok. None of them will block Harrison Brunicke from entering the lineup. None of them will block anyone from entering the lineup.
Yeah. So keeping Grizzlick around, in my opinion, especially if they do look to deal Carlson this summer, it just kind of gives you another defenseman that can aid in transition.
Yeah.
And it's given what he's done for the Penguins power play, he's definitely not a bad option to keep around. And also too, I mean, even if you look at what the return would be on a potential trade or something, like it's not the end of the world. And I think the Penguins viewed it this way. Any asset that they're going to get for him isn't going to make much of a difference in their future or not. So like if they extend him another season and he sucks next year, like it's not the end of the world.
Like that's fine. That 3rd round pick will become maybe a 5th round pick. Oh darn. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and listen, the Penguins have historically been very good in late rounds of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't been as good in early rounds of the draft. That's how it's been for a long time. I mean, go back to the early 2000s. You got Rob Scuderi. You got, Ryan Malone. You've got Max Talbot. You've got, I mean, like they got all these guys in the late rounds. Like Max Talbot was like an 8th round draft pick or something like that. And then, obviously in more recent history, you've got Kunackle, you've got Jake Gensel, you've got Brian Rust. And in the 1st round, you've got Sam Poulin and Derek Boudreau. I don't even know how to say his last name.
Pouliot, yeah.
Pouliot, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
Yeah, and
all that to say, the Penguins are good at drafting late. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
With whatever they get for Matt Grzelcyk. Or even if he leaves in... Think of it like this. If Grzelcyk just walks in the summer, but he assists on 10 or 15 of Sid's points to get him to that point per game record, I think most Penguins fans would trade a 3rd round pick for Sid to hit the point per game record, right? Like that's...
Yeah.
And
honestly...
I think the front office, it's good that they did that as well.
Yeah. And honestly, too, I mean, who's to even say? I feel like Grzelcyk would have gotten a 3rd round pick, but who's to even say that was on the table?
Yeah, this was a total speculation. I think it probably would have been a 3rd round pick as well.
Yeah.
Based on what other players went for. But, I don't know that for sure. It might have been like a 4th round pick. And then it's like I said, Crosby will very likely hit that point per game record, and Matt Grzelcyk is, like it or not, a very big reason that he's going to do it. Yeah.
Especially because of the power play. I mean,
yeah.
It's again, not somebody you should lose sleep over the Penguins not dealing at the deadline, because it is what it is. I mean, even if they did get a 3rd round pick for him, like they have 3 3rd round picks this season. What, 3 3rd round picks next season, something like that. So like
35 draft picks over the next 3 years or something like that.
It's insane. Like their draft cupboard is stocked. And they have 15. They have 15 draft picks in the first 3 rounds for the next 3 years. Guys, they're fine.
That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like,
yeah, and given the way, I mean, since Dubas has been here, I do think that early round drafting has been a lot better It's obviously that stuff's still panning out, but they get Harrison Brunicke and Tanner Howe in last year's draft in the second round. I'm optimistic about their ability to draft, especially with Wes Clark in the fold. It's one of those things. If they lose one draft pick because they decided not to deal a 31-year-old defenseman having a career season that really
I'm 100%
all
with
that
you.
great,
I don't
whatever.
think it matters.
And if they bring him back for a year, fine. I'm not.
It's
whatever. These guys aren't going to lose opportunities.
Whatever.
Owen Pickering's going to be on this roster next season. These guys aren't going to lose opportunities because Matt Grzelcyk is on the roster. They're just not. So, anyway, Hannah, who's your trending up?
That would be Brian Rust. So, Rust was in a bit of a dry spell. In his past 3 games, he's gotten 4 goals. That's pretty good, some might say. 4 goals and 6 points in his past 3 games? Yes, 4 goals and 6 points in his past 3 games. Before that, he had 2 goals in his previous 13 games. It was a bad stretch for Brian Rust. And now he's back. And, his 2 goals against Florida, they were insane plays. Crosby was amazing. But the fact that he got his hand on that second goal, one hand, he's literally driving the net. He, throws out his stick and, sends, a fluttering deflection. It's crazy to me how hockey players have this hand-eye coordination, and it's normal. And that's just the thing that they have.
Crazy.
I don't know. It's wild. But he's just been playing better. Again, if you want to nitpick and say that there were a couple bad plays he made in the past, whatever, okay. I'm not watching all of the games. I'm literally just watching highlights. I do not cover the Penguins. But from what I have seen, and I did see 2 games live, he was playing, I'm not going to say poorly, but he wasn't playing up to his usual standards, and now he's back, and he's on a little bit of a tear, and that's good for him, because, you talk about a guy who's oh no, Kelsey's gone. Oh God, Kelsey, please return to me.
I'm still here.
Oh, thank God. You talk about a guy who's, a pretty big piece of the locker room, I would think. He's been here for 100 years, since 2015? Yeah, 2015.
Yeah, 2014. I think the end of 2014.
End of 2014. 2015 was when he really came up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's my trending up player. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Claps for Brian Rust.
And also just, you talk about guys that just fly under the radar in hockey. This guy has 6 straight seasons at 20 or more goals. And he's a perfect example of a guy who started out as a grinder on the 4th line, worked his way up the lineup, and then all of a sudden he's just a perennial 20-goal scorer. And
he's a little like Brad Marchand. That's literally that was Marchand's path. He was a later draft pick. I don't know.
It's impressive. And also too, you consider he's missed time this season. He's had 2 different IR stints. He has 3 goals from tying his career high of 28. So this is a really good season from Brian Rust, under the radar. He's flying under the radar a lot because, I'll be the first to say he's been pretty putrid defensively this year. I think a lot of his really all around.
I remember that. Oh.
Yeah, a lot of his all-around game has kind of taken a hit, but that's what tends to happen when you're a one-line team and your first line is relied on to drive all the offense. So
like we said, there are maybe 2 players that have been not awful defensively this year, and neither of them are defensemen.
Oh, sad. But anyway, yeah, Brian Rush just continues to surprise me. And honestly, Olympic rosters are bigger than Four Nations rosters. If he continues this into next season, it would not surprise me to see him maybe be one of those periphery candidates to fill out the depth of the roster, be one of those extra forwards, or,
See,
given some injury situations and stuff like that.
I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. There's a lot of young talent, young US-born talent that might, like Cole Caulfield was snubbed and like Clayton Keller was snubbed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, I mean, they'll give Patrick Kane a call because they're dumb and because they love their old boys. It doesn't matter if he will have like 4 points that season. They'll give him a call and he'll be there.
Tage Thompson.
Yeah, also snubbed. Big snub. Like he was literally even snubbed from my list of snubs because he wasn't one of the first 2 players I thought of on my list of snubs. Like, sorry, Tage, that's my bad, dude. Yeah, and like, I don't know. You can say like obviously certain guys shouldn't have been there that were there maybe, and you would think they probably won't. What?
Chris Kreider.
I wasn't gonna name drop Kelsey. Like,
we can here.
Okay, yeah, like 10 people listen to this. Yes, Chris Kreider. I was thinking Chris Kreider. I actually didn't mind that Brock Nelson was on, just because in like a 4th line role, if you're playing him on the 4th line, he's the perfect 4th line guy on an Olympic team because he was a 4th line guy in his career. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of skill, but he also has a lot of grit and like he's got that kind of edge to him that you want in a 4th line.
Yeah.
I don't know why Chris Kreider was there though.
You got to build out a 4-line team for best on best competition.
And honestly, like if you want to have a 4th line team at the Olympics next year with Brock Nelson and Brian Rust, that would be a good 4th line.
Yeah,
because both of those players have played on the 4th line. They have been those guys throughout their careers. They know how to be 4th line guys.
Yep,
they'll be good at it. So whoever is GMing the Team USA next
Bill
year.
Guerin.
If you are one of good. Okay.
Same exact staff for Four Nations.
Yeah, great. I mean, someone will get brutally injured and infected because of the good old Minnesota. Okay, I should stop talking.
But yeah, what I will say for Russ though, I think there are some younger guys, obviously, that were snubbed that deserve that chance. Like I said, Olympic rosters are bigger, so he might have a chance to squeeze in there. But one thing to consider, like we said, you need to build out 4-line teams, especially
and like you're not going to put
best competition.
You're not going to put Cole Caulfield on the 4th line.
No,
like you can argue that maybe you could put Tage Thompson on the 4th line. He would. I think he'd be more effective on the 3rd line. Like if you're going to put him on the bottom 6 because he has to be because of the top talent. I don't know. It's tough. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited for it. I mean,
me too. All right. Well,
it's just so hard to predict who might make those rosters. Like we're so far out, but I don't think it's completely out of the question to say that Brian Rust could be like an outside.
Yeah. And you have to consider injury situations too. You don't know what that situation is going to be like next season. If they have, a Matthew Tkachuk injured next season, or even
he is on my dynasty team. Shut up.
No, he's on my my fantasy team
Kelsey
is just in shambles right now.
My dynasty team. It is week 2 of the playoffs. Listen to this. Matthew Tkachuk, Leon Draisaitl, Tomas Hertl. Oh my God. They've all abandoned me when I need them most.
Yeah, so it is.
And Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, I had a bye in the first round of our playoffs for fantasy. But I'm currently losing our round 2, even though, I was the champ last season. But listen to this. So just not to get too far off topic here, but let's see. I have Matthew Tkachuk. I have Brad Marchand. I have Mira Heiskanen. I have who else? Oh my goodness. Half my team's injured.
Literally my whole team is injured. I'm looking at this right now. It's all just red O's. Like we're so dead.
I have almost no chance because I have 3 of my top players. Like
at least Quinn Hughes returned. Like he
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
did. No, that's
Jewish Superman. Like,
yeah. I was looking for the injury mark next to Quinn Hughes, and I forgot that he's returned. But yeah, it's been a couple
like
weeks
it's
since I
brutal.
changed my
I've got Lucas Raymond in my utility spot.
I also have Lucas Raymond. Yeah.
I did not want that. No shade to Lucas Raymond, who will probably be on the Olympic team next year. But with the way Detroit is trending, I don't want him in my utility spot right now.
Yeah.
I want him on my bench.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I want Leon Draisaitl in my utility. I want
He's a nice utility player, Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah.
101 points. Nice utility guy there. But anyway, yeah, fantasy.
Jason Robertson has literally dried up when I need him the most.
Oh my god, he's on my fantasy team too. Listen, my best forward right now on my fantasy roster because of injuries is Anthony Cirelli. That is not good. I have Mark Scheifele too, but
yeah, but Gabe Vilardi's dead or something. So like,
yeah, it's over for me, and I'm really upset about it.
Chelsea, we're second round exits. High five.
I'm cooked. High five. We're the Capitals of the 2010s.
Kelsey.
Anyway, so wanna do trending down? Dan?
Is it even worth it? I mean, the entire team is trending down.
Well, I mean, I'll just for the noise one last time. You know?
Let's do it for the noise one last time. Hold up, let me find it. Found it. Who's trending down?
I have Kevin Hayes.
Ow!
I needed to hear that sweet sound one more time.
Sweet. Ah!
Never gets old.
Never.
Anyway, trending down. I mean, honestly, the Penguins, aside from that Lightning game, have been playing pretty good hockey lately. And I think this is another one of those cases. You can't even really point to goaltenders because, yes, Tristan Jarry had an atrocious game against Tampa Bay. Nedeljkovic.
As someone who wasn't watching because I was watching the Golden Knights game, I kept getting notifications from like the ESPN app because I have notifications turned on for every NHL team because I'm a freak and I like to know who's scoring. And I saw all those coming in, and I thought it was a glitch. I thought the app was just broken.
No, Tristan Jarry was just broken yesterday.
Like, Kucherov, Hagel, point. I was like,
oh.
Pardon?
Yeah. Yeah, other than the Tampa Bay game, goaltending, you can't really say goaltending's trending down. I mean, Alex Nedeljkovic was trending down after the break, but even he's been a lot better in his last couple starts.
He was dynamite against Columbus. I mean, he faced 1,000,001 shots, and he stopped 999,099. I don't know. I'm bad at math.
That sounds about right. But so yeah, Kevin Hayes. I mean, this is a little bit nitpicky, but honestly, I think he rode that high of, being back into the lineup and not being healthy scratched after, after the turn of the new year. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think he's been perfectly solid still, but I think he's quieted a lot in the last couple of games, basically since the Four Nations break. He does only have 1 goal and 6 points since the Four Nation break. He was in the second line center role yesterday. Obviously, that's a tall ask for Kevin Hayes when Evgeny Malkin's not in the lineup. So you can't expect too much, especially with the fact that they don't have any wingers other than Raquel and Rust. Tomasino's been okay, but he's not a world breaker by any means. So, I don't expect much production-wise from Hayes, but I think the other areas of his game that were kind of flourishing before aren't as present anymore. I think that also comes with just the team being down in general, because they're about to miss the playoffs for the 3rd straight season. But even on the power play, we saw for a while that Kevin Hayes was pretty effective. And, that role power play has been struggling lately. So, I just think this is a result of Kevin Hayes just kind of fading out as the team is fading out, if that makes sense.
And I mean, it does make sense. he's been asked, like when he's been in the lineup, he's been asked to do more than he probably should be asked to do at this point in his career, just with his age and like what he can do. So it kind of makes sense. It's a little bit like when Jeff Carter signed the extension back in 22 question mark 21. I don't know.
2022.
Yeah, that would have been it.
Or no,
Started to
2021.
because he
21.
was like, no, they got him in 21, and then
he signed an extension at the end of 2021 because he was a 3-year extension.
No, he signed mid-year. I remember he signed mid-year because like, right after signing the extension. Yeah, no, it was in 22. It was a 2-year extension, so it would have gone 22, 23, and then 23, 24. Yeah, 2-year extension in like January of 2022.
Okay.
I'm right about this. I think I'm right about this.
Okay, I believe you, but
let's verify.
I just want to fact check.
But as I continue, I do see a lot of that in Kevin Hayes' game. I mean,
you're right. You win.
Was it like January?
Pull
up that sweet Puckpedia signing date.
Yeah, that's what I'm pulling up now. My computer's just being
January 17th, 2022.
Oh, you were faster than me.
Was that what it was?
Oh, I thought you got it already.
Oh no, that Kelsey, I was guessing. I'll do it.
No, I'm looking. Oh my goch, this is taking forever. So sorry.
January 26th,
2022. January 26th.
Okay, I was not that far off. I was like 9 days off. Okay, we'll take that.
That's right.
But like he was like the first line center for a hot minute. You know, he was the second line center when Sid came back for the little while until Gino came back, or vice versa. I don't remember the exact ins and outs. Either way, that's kind of what's happened to Kevin Hayes. You know, because of the lack of center depth, when Gino's out, it's Kevin Hayes in that role. And that's asking a little bit much of him. Because of, oh God, Kelsey returned to me, where he is and how old he is. Thank God, Kelsey. I was really floundering.
Wi-Fi.
But yeah, no, that's just it. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Hayes is quite a bit younger. I think he's only like 33, but he's not playing like a guy who's 33.
Yeah,
but and I think the type of player he is too just doesn't age out well in the NHL.
Yeah.
You know, so I like the comparison because I think that it does.
I mean, like you said, he is 33 versus I think Carter was 37 when he signed it, maybe.
Yeah, something. He was old.
Methuselah. No, I'm kidding. Jeff Carter. Please. I miss that 70s line, and I always will, Jeff. So.
Yeah. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Forever in our hearts. Tanner Pearson, the Golden Knight.
Kevin Hayes is actually still only 32. So
what?
Yeah, he's turning 33 in May. So yeah, but I your point stands though. I just
now I feel bad. Like we straight up called Chris Kreider bad. We called Jeff Carter old. We called Kevin Hayes old. We're shocked that he's 32. Like this is
sorry, Kevin.
Like it's at least it's fun. Like
yeah, exactly. Well. Anyway, Kevin Hayes trending down. Do you have a trending down or?
I mean, I don't think it's really fair for me to nitpick, especially since I feel like all I see is the bad efforts. Trending down, everyone who was on the ice when Kyle Palmieri scored that game-tying goal with the Islanders. That was atrocious. Vladislav Kolyachonok drove the net. He didn't have the puck. Raquel had the puck. Kolyachonok drove the net. It was on the rush. No one dropped back to cover because they probably didn't expect the defenseman who did not have the puck to be driving the net. And then Raquel's shot went wide. Letang slipped on a banana peel at the blue line, and Kyle Palmieri just got the puck and went down and just beat Jari like a rented mule. Literally everyone who was on the ice trending down.
Fair enough. You want to do the sound one more time, just for effect?
I'll do it 5 times, 4 times, because Raquel had the puck. What do you want him to do? Like, have the puck and defend? Like, fine. 4 slaps. Ow! I did it 4 times, but I will do it once.
No, you should have done it 4 times.
Ow! That was the most atrocious goal against I've seen in a good minute, which is saying something because it's the Penguins. We'll do it again.
Ow!
I mean, you might as well just do it a 4th time now because.
Ow!
There we go. All right. Well, point taken. Absolutely atrocious. So trying down. All right.
You know that legendary goal call in that Dallas Stars game when the guy missed the empty net and the Oilers took it the other way and scored, and the guy goes, "That does not belong in hockey." To that I say, that does not belong in hockey.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree there. That's a good comparison. All right, so I do want to. We have a little bit to cover, not a whole lot of time left. Look at us, we're at an hour 15 again.
We have a lot of time left, Kelsey. Let's push for 3 hours. What the hell? This is the last episode.
I actually don't know how much memory I have because I forgot to delete some before we got this. But so hopefully we'll do this as long as we can. But anyway, so wanted to just talk about Wilkes-Barre briefly, and specifically Harrison Brunicke. So Harrison Brunicke's somebody that, every Pens fan who's been paying attention to hockey this season probably is aware of. My dog wants cuddles right now, and that's not possible, buddy. Sorry. But anyway, so Harrison Brunicke was injured for 2 months this season. He had a wrist injury at the end of November, broke his wrist, missed a good chunk of the season for the Kamloops Blazers. But when he came back, he pretty much picked up right where he left off. If you remember correctly, Brunicke almost made the team out of training camp. Had a really, really impressive showing in training camp for the Penguins, stayed until final cuts. And honestly, I still think that the only reason he didn't get that 9 game was just because of the injury situation. And also they had 3 forwards injured. At the beginning of the season.
The extra forwards. Yeah.
So they decided to carry 14 forwards instead of
hurt. He got
Lizotte.
hurt. Yep, Lizotte as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
Yep. There was somebody else too, but yeah. So Vasily Ponomarev was hurt too, and he was kind of like on an ish track to make the roster. So I think there were a lot of circumstances that led to him not getting that 9-game tryout, but certainly earned it. So basically for Kamloops this season, 5 goals, 30 points in 41 games. And he is expected to join the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins for their playoff push for the Calder Cup. So that hasn't been officially announced, but go ahead.
But that's how it's trending. Which you were saying they could.
Yes, so Wilkes-Barre with a win against Hartford tonight could clinch the Calder Cup playoff berth. And just for some, context on how that matchup has gone this season, Wilkes-Barre is 5-0-0 against Hartford this season, and they're outscoring them 24-5.
Is that good?
Listen, Wilkes-Barre, last I checked, they had scored more goals than anyone in the NHL, more goals for this season. I'm not sure that stat is still up to date. But anyway, there's a pretty good.
It was at one point accurate.
Yeah, and there's a pretty good chance that they might clinch tonight, but they don't want to put any definites there. But I'm actually checking that stat right now. 214. They're second in the league in goals for now, behind only the Colorado Eagles. So second in the entire AHL in goals for. So anyway, Brunicke's going to be joining a good team down there, and a good decor too. They've gotten contributions from pretty much everywhere in that lineup. And I think this is somebody, if you're not paying attention to Harrison Brunicke at this point, you probably should be.
Especially with the way that the Penguins are trending. Pay attention to him. He'll give you something to cheer for.
Yeah, and people should be excited about Rucker McGroarty, rightfully so. Ville Koivunen is having an unbelievable rookie season at the AHL level. There's a lot of other guys to point to. I would argue that Harrison Brunicke's their top prospect. You know, just he
Not
just has.
Sergei Murashov?
It's close. I'd say Sergei Murashov, Harrison Brunicke, Rucker McGorty are the consensus top three.
Yeah,
I would say.
I would think Murashov is probably the top one, but
it's close. Yeah,
it's tough to get goalies. Whatever,
it is. But
who's to split hairs over? Just yeah.
I mean, the fact that we can even debate this and talk about this is a good thing because I mean, listen, there's some legitimate talent knocking at the door. Obviously, that still has to pan out, and there has to be a development process that happens at the NHL level. So these guys, I mean, very few guys make the jump to the NHL and make an impact in year one. So it's going to take some time. And just to go back to Murashov for a second too. He has already tied Matt Murray's rookie record for 10 straight wins in the AHL. Now, he's only one victory shy of tying John Curry from 2008-2009 for the longest win streak in team history. So, Sergei Murashov, another household name that you should be paying attention to if you're a Penguins fan. But go ahead.
I think it does speak for itself, the fact that there are three prospects that we're talking about being the top prospect, right? One of them was drafted 15th overall. And we are saying that the other two that were not drafted 15th overall, we're arguing which of them is the top prospect.
Yeah.
2.5 years ago, who was the top prospect in the Penguins organization?
Samuel Poland, probably.
Yeah. Now we're arguing over three legitimately good prospects. There are several other prospects that are on track to be NHL players. Tanner Howe and Tristan Brose and
Ville Koivunen.
Yeah, Ville Koivunen, Vasily Ponomarev, and I mean, there's also Owen Pickering, who we're not even talking about, who has played NHL games and shown that he can do it at that level. I don't know. It's a far step, and I am giggling not for that reason, but for another reason that does not matter.
Yeah, listen. Regardless, I mean, there's a pretty immediate future here, I think, for the Penguins in terms of some of these crops of prospects. Now, I'll go out on a limb and say I
don't know about immediate because, like you said, development takes time. And the Penguins,
I mean, like with
New York Rangers,
2 years or so,
know how to develop prospects.
Yeah.
But in 3-4 years, I would say all of these players that we mentioned will probably be regular NHLers making an impact in whatever their role that they make an impact in is.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty, safe to say that several of them will be on the roster next season in some capacity. I do think guys like, Ponomarev, especially, and McGroarty, Pickering, I think those three guys are probably on the roster next season full time.
I think they're pretty close to a lot.
Ready.
Now, how much of an impact will they make? That's the question, because like you said, it's the adjustment period, but I think it's a good bet that they'll be roster players at the very least.
Yeah. And you know what? They're going to be given some space to develop. That's just where the stage that the Penguins are at right now. But I also don't want to count out Brunicke either, because especially depending on what happens with Erik Karlsson this summer, there's going to be a big opportunity opened up on the right side. Because if you look
probably how he plays in the AHL playoffs, right?
Yes. I mean, this is a big tryout for him, basically.
Yeah. Because, what was he in the WHL, OHL?
WHL.
WHL. I mean, it's going to be a big jump going from the WHL to the AHL, and it will be a bigger jump going from the AHL to the NHL.
Yeah.
But in the preseason, he did compete against some teams with their NHL lineups, with NHL players in them. It wasn't like two practice squads going at it, and you would expect him to shine. He's shown against NHL players. He's shown he can do it. The question is, what will be best for his development? When will it be best to throw him into that? And don't get mad if he isn't thrown into it immediately, because development is real. It's not about, let's see what they can do. Oh my God. to no end when I am on Twitter and I see people going, play the kids, let's see what they can do. It doesn't matter anyway. It does.
Yeah.
Player development is real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is a good thing that these armchair GMs aren't actual GMs, because it's not about, like, number one, the organization knows who these players are, what they can do. It doesn't matter that the fans don't know what they can do. The organization does. That's why they're not playing them in the NHL, because they are prioritizing their development for their long-term future.
Yeah. Yeah, and another aspect of that too.
Take a deep breath and calm myself. I don't know. I just think it's really dumb that people, the same fans that mock the Rangers for not being able to develop, clearly don't know what development is.
Yeah, and I think another big aspect of this that people were maybe missing, and I mean, I think I've seen more people come around to this just given the state of the NHL roster and the NHL team and where everything's at. I think it's really important for these guys to win together as a unit. They're going on a Calder Cup run. Wilkes-Barre Scranton has never won the Calder Cup. And this is the first time in a long time they have a legitimate shot this year. They've played Hershey well this year. They've, I just talked about how they've dismantled Hartford all season long.
Is that
and
hard
Hartford,
to do? Like,
no, it's not hard, but this is what they're doing. They're
outscoring them 24-5. I mean, even a good team you would expect to, I don't know. Like,
look, the fact of the matter is that's a very good team down there, and this is something that hasn't been the case in a long time for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. And it's not like, I mean, lately Sam Poland's been on a little bit of a tear. Valtteri Pussinen's picked up some of the scoring. Before it was those guys, Emil Bemstrom was scoring a lot down there. But the fact of the matter is that these young guys are making contributions to this push. It's not just those players. It's not like they're being led by their veterans in entirety. Rucker McGroarty's having a fantastic second half. Ville Koivunen is 7th in the league in scoring overall, and also tied for first in the league in rookie scoring. These guys, if Tristan Brose hadn't had mono for a month and a half, we'd be talking more about the season he's having. Ponomarov's gone cold lately. He hasn't had any points in his last 6 games, but before that, he was near point per game. Like, listen, these guys are contributing night in, night out. In Marchand.
And I liked what you said about it's important for them to win together, because they'll all be called up together. And when they go from winning to losing, there will be a toll that, that'll take a toll on them, because hockey players don't like to lose. And they'll have each other to lean on, and that's big for building camaraderie. And, you win as a team, you lose as a team. It's important for them to become a team.
Yeah.
Maybe that sounds corny, but that's how life is. Like, not every team is going to win at 82 games and then 16 games in the playoffs. Like, that's not how it goes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that you pointed that out, because that's a very good point.
Yeah. And, they're getting it done together. Let them go on a run together. Let them experience a winning culture in that locker room and on that team, because, that's something that the Penguins are going to need in this transitional period. Because like I said, you figure at least 3 of those guys will be on the roster next season. You'll probably see Ville Koivunen at some point. Maybe Tristan Brose at some point.
Tanner Howe, maybe.
Maybe he will be in the AHL next season because he won't have juniors eligibility remaining. Right. And like I said, Harrison Brunicke's kind of a wild card, because I would argue that, Harrison Brunicke going back to juniors for a season, don't know how much that's going to do for him, but that's
I think it totally depends on his training camp and how he does in the AHL playoffs. But I agree. I mean, let's not rule anything out. I mean,
Yeah, and then you have the goaltending. So it's there's a lot of good things happening down there. You don't want to mess with a good thing.
No.
There's no reason to. This team
is
done.
Even if they weren't good things, player development knows best.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Schmo, bunch of numbers on the internet, who is not a pro scout and is not involved with player development, probably does not know best. But God, Joe Schmo's voice is the one I always hear. Joe Schmo, bunch of numbers.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, a perfect example of this, I don't want to spend too much more time on this. I think a perfect example
We can
of...
go forever. We'll
Okay,
keep
great.
dancing, me and you. Let's scrape our shoes
Yeah.
against the moon and hang upside down against the stars or whatever.
Let's do it. Let's do it. But yeah, so I think a perfect player that kind of encapsulates this idea that you're talking about is Ville Koivunen, because if you look at Ville Koivunen's production, I mean, it's really impressive. This is his first professional season. I mean, he's blowing rookies out of the water in the AHL. He's one of the leading scorers on Wilkes-Barre Scranton. I think he is the leading scorer now that Emil Bemstrom isn't on the roster. So he's having a legitimately good season, but there are also some developmental things that still need to happen for him to be NHL ready. There's a lot that he has to round out in the details of his game and his all-around game. He needs to get a little bit bigger and stronger because he does get knocked around a lot. So they want him to add a little bit of size in the offseason. There are still a lot of things that need to happen. You might look at a stat sheet and say, hey, Ville Koivunen should be here right now, or he should be on this roster at the start of next season. But there are other things that go into development beyond looking at a stat sheet. And in order for all of that production to translate to the NHL level, he does need to round out a few more things about his game. So patience, guys. Yeah, patience.
And to the people that say, well, he'll figure that out in the show. He'll figure that out as he goes along. No, you learn the details in the minors, in the juniors. You don't learn the details in the NHL.
No.
Number one, it's dangerous. You could get seriously injured, which would be very bad for your development if you get injured. Number two, I mean, that could lead to you not developing, period. Because, I mean, that's just how it is. Like, oh, geez. We should move on before I, blow a gasket or, legitimately pop a vein in my forehead.
You're fine. And the last thing I'll say about that, too, this is exactly why guys like Ponomarev and McGroarty are more NHL ready, because they have those details in their game rounded out. The thing for McGroarty this season, it was a slow start for him in the AHL. He did need to fix some of those details. And, I mean, even his skating looks a lot better than it did earlier this season.
Even when he wasn't producing those points, you could see the vast improvements to his game in the details. And then the points, they started to come because of the details.
Yes.
It's the devil's in the details, and also the NHL is in the details.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. You hit the nail on the head. Those guys are more NHL ready because they have the details rounded out in their game. And then because all that's rounded out, the production's going to come for them. It's not going to be something that, McGroarty is, I think, a top 6 player in the future. That's the general consensus.
I think that's the general consensus. I think that's what he's going to be.
Yeah, and that will need time you'll need time to see the production catch up to the hype, I guess, at the NHL level. And I mean, as far as Ponomarev, the nice thing about him is that those details are kind of the identity of his game. Yeah. So he's somebody you can probably insert in an NHL lineup and he can be pretty effective quickly because that's kind of the identity. But he's also somebody that, his production probably isn't going to be there right away either. And especially for the role that he's going to be playing. So if these guys, come up to the NHL, same with Owen Pickering. I think Owen Pickering's kind of developing more into a shutdown defenseman than people thought he was going to be. But, you have to have patience with the process, and that also is true at the NHL level. These guys are going to take some time to start racking up points, to start producing at that level that you want to see them produce. But if those details are there, all that will come. It just needs a little bit of time to flush out. So
yeah.
I don't have anything else for that, but I know you wanted to talk.
Yeah, no.
About a couple other things.
More Penguins prospect stuff. Step aside March Madness. It's time for the real NCAA tournament, which is the Road to the Frozen Four, baby!
Woo!
And the big news of course, is that Michigan isn't in it this year for the first time since 2019. What? Sorry, I love me some chaos.
Yes.
The Penguins do have 2 players. Technically, they have 3, but one of them hasn't played this season. I don't know what the deal is there, but he hasn't played this season. So the 2 players they've got Chase Yoder from your Providence Friars. The Golden Knights also have a prospect with the Friars, and they are line mates, which I think is kind of cool. So they play Denver on the 27th at, I want to say maybe 8:30. I want to say 8:30. Let me verify that.
Oh, you're good.
I want to say it's 8:30. No, 5:30 p.m. EDT. Okie doke. My bad. Not 8:30. But that is in 2 days on Friday. So I know what I will be doing at 5:30 p.m. on Friday. And then they've got, I am going to absolutely butcher his name, Una Vaisinainen?
I think it's Univaisinen.
Univaisinen.
Okay.
And he plays for Western Michigan University, which of course is different from Michigan. And they play, hold up, Minnesota State. And they play them, tomorrow at 5 o'clock. That's nice. Well, I know what I'll be doing tomorrow at 5 then. And they are the 4 seed, which is a big deal. It means they're the top in whatever their conference is. I don't know what conference that is. It's not the one that Providence is in, though. Yeah. So if you're, interested in the Penguins players, I don't think the Penguins play tomorrow, do they?
They do. They play Buffalo tomorrow.
Okay, but they don't play them at 5. You have at least 2 hours to watch Una Vaisinen and the Western Michigan somethings. I don't know. Denver is my team. Like, I don't know.
It's all good.
Like, yeah. I guess Denver was my team. I can't root for a college team anymore, especially not with covering a, kind of covering a prospect that's playing Denver. No longer have a college hockey team. This is devastating to me, Kelsey.
Listen, we're people too. We can have some allegiances here. It's okay.
Yeah, but I didn't even go to Denver. I just like Zeev Boyum. I think he's a great prospect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. No, I do think it would be probably unfair to be actively rooting against the prospect for the team I cover. That feels bad. So I won't be doing that, obviously.
At least out loud.
Kelsey, stop! No, no, I literally just liked Denver because, yeah, Z-Boyum, he was my prospect. He was my guy for a while. Be free, Zeev. Anyway, so since this is the last episode, I was thinking maybe we could just run through a greatest hits of Penguins fans who are pissing us off today.
Listen, I would love nothing more. And just to clarify too, the Pucks Nap podcast will go on.
Yeah.
It'll just be my lonely face most of the time, but I'll have guests too.
Kelsey, I'll do my best to get free as much as possible. We'll
I'll
see.
figure out something, but
I'll help you find friends.
All right.
You won't be lonely
thank
forever.
You. I appreciate that. Why don't we go with
on as a guest star?
I could have Zuko. He can contribute a lot.
He knows puck.
He does. He still has those money lines.
Oh yeah. Zuko's money lines.
But yeah, I mean, why don't we do it this way? Why don't we frame it this way? Do you want to go over one narrative that grinds your gears, and I can go over a narrative that grinds my gears? And
yeah, can I have the big one though? Can I take that one?
Go. Start on it. Start on it because I'll probably have things to add to it too.
Yeah, you know what? This, honestly, we should probably finish with this. Do you have a different one that you wanted to address, or?
Go ahead and do yours first because mine will probably piggyback off of that one.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
All right, guys. How do I put this politely? This draft class is not the 2015 draft class. There's not going to be 9 all-stars out of the first 10 picks. This draft class is probably more similar to the 2021 draft class, which was Owen Power and Matty Beniers and good players. You know, they're all good players. I'm not saying that any of those players are bad. What I am saying is that missing out on one of them will obviously not be ideal. What it will not do is set the franchise back decades or years and years. No. Listen, I'm not a scout, okay? I'm not a scout. But I know scouts. I know people who, you know, are in scouting. I know and just like the experts in general, the general consensus is that this draft class is full of players who will be good. But there's no Connor Bedard. There's no consensus first overall pick. Dropping from the what did we think was the highest the lowest
5.
they could have gotten to?
5.
Like not even, like 6, I think it was.
5 or 6 at lowest.
Dropping from 5 or 6 to 8 or 9 because they won a few games in March. The horror. Oh. I mean, Kelsey, like
Yeah, listen, this is what I'll say. And we were talking about this a long time before we actually went on the air. We talked for like 45 minutes, but
yeah,
you know,
at least
I just implore anyone who thought that the Penguins had a realistic shot at a top 4 draft pick to look at the Western Conference, please.
Yeah. Oh
like,
my
please.
God. Like the Sharks have been eliminated from playoff contention for like a week and a half. Like the Blackhawks have been eliminated for I think we said was like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Like the
Nashville
Bruins could literally be eliminated tonight, I think. There's one team that could be eliminated tonight, and I think it's the
Bruins?
I think so. With a regulation loss to the Ducks and one more team. No, I think oh my God. I literally was playing around on that, you know, where they show you all the playoffs and the elimination scenarios. I don't think a team can clinch the playoffs again for like another 3 games at least.
Yeah.
But there can be teams eliminated, and there can be a team eliminated tonight, but a lot of things have to happen, I think. I think one team has to lose, and another team has to either win or go to overtime. Our point is, the Penguins were never going to get the first overall pick.
No.
I mean, at best, they would have like a 6% chance to get the first overall pick. Listen, if you are griping and moaning and kvetching because the Penguins fell from 6% odds to win the lottery to 4% odds to win the lottery, I hope you don't gamble because you're probably $5,000 in the hole.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I just think
it doesn't matter.
No.
Like,
no.
This is not setting the franchise back. If you think that, why?
And look, yeah, listen, that my point piggybacks off of this.
I'm not trying to be an asshole, but why?
Yeah. I just
you just gotta laugh, Kelsey.
Listen, my point piggybacks
you
off
have
of this.
To be nice. I don't.
mine piggybacks off of this because my narrative thing was the NHL trade deadline this season for the Penguins. And
yeah, like
it
doesn't change anything.
It doesn't. And you know what? Anyone who thinks that Dubas didn't set this team up for failure after the deadline is way off base.
Let's use the correct terminology, Kelsey. The correct terminology, which is deflated and defeated.
Yeah, listen.
They've got Connor Dewar on the second line. Is that not
Nobody-
deflated and defeated? Listen, I like Connor Dewar. I think Connor Dewar is a very good bottom six player. I think right now he is offensively doing a lot more than you will see from him in the future if he resigns. But this is what you're going to see from him. He's an energy guy. He plays with a bit of an edge. He's fast. He's going to be the new Nola Chari, maybe. Like the fourth line guy that kills penalties and scores a fun goal once every 15, 20 games.
Yeah.
And this isn't me being, mean or a knack on him. And if he goes on a tear and, becomes a top six player, good for him. I just watched him a lot with Minnesota because I'm going to catch a lot of heat from this from some of my friends. I enjoy watching the Minnesota Wild. I like dump and chase. And I like the fact that they make it work, kind of. But like he's overachieving right now. That's the point. He should not be on the second line. This team is both deflated and defeated, and if you think otherwise, I'll have what he's having.
Listen, and the other thing, when you're talking about the deadline and just the moves that were made, they offloaded pretty much all of their value UFAs except for Matt Grzelcyk, and you can argue we said that already.
And even
how much
some of their
value he
players
actually had.
And even some of their players that weren't UFAs, like
Yeah.
Michael Bunting, not
Mhm.
a UFA, gone down the river to Nashville.
Yeah. And you know what? They netted just during this season alone, like in season, they netted 8 draft picks. So it's just one of those things.
I didn't count them up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
It's impressive.
listen, yeah, it is. And you know what? If you're leaving a team post deadline with a second line of Evgeny Malkin, which that's not a knock on Evgeny Malkin, but like
no,
your
Evgeny
second
Malkin is
line-
not the player we're nitpicking being
No.
on the second line.
if the best possible second line you can ice is Evgeny Malkin, Philip Tomasino, and Connor Dewar.
Let's phrase it this way to further drive in our point that we're not trying to bash Evgeny Malkin. If the best wingers you can give Evgeny Malkin are Connor Dewar and Philip Tomasino,
Mm-hmm.
I
You're
would
setting
call
your-
that deflated and defeated.
Yeah, you're setting up the team for failure. And also, just a side move there, too. That's why they've swapped Tristan Jarry and Joel Blomqvist beyond development. Blomqvist needed a little bit more development at the AHL level, but, they were like, screw it. Let's throw him back in the AHL. Let's bring back up Tristan Jarry, who didn't have good AHL numbers, because it doesn't matter anymore. And guess what? Tristan Jarry decided to go on a heater after his call-up. I don't think anybody, Kyle Dubas included, could have predicted that was going to happen.
Anything leaves the team
So,
deflated and defeated.
Yeah, and you know what? This whole, they didn't trade Raquel thing, you could argue about the merits of that for the future, fine. But as far as this season, do you really
for the future, I think there is a real argument to be made, especially because I've heard some of the offers that may or may not have been made there. Doesn't make a difference this season.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a lick of difference this season.
Yeah. And that's I guess my point here.
In
not
fact,
trading or trading Ricard Raquel wouldn't have made much of a difference in this team's final standing at the end of the season and therefore their draft position. Not trading him didn't mess up their draft position.
In fact, it's possible they actually would have won 2 or 3 more games had they traded Raquel. I would argue that.
I mean, it depends on the return, sure, but regardless, that game or two isn't going to make a difference in the grand scheme of things.
It's not.
It's not gonna. That game or two isn't going to set them back because of this draft class. It's just not.
I mean, there isn't even a consensus first overall pick.
No.
It was Hagens. Everyone was hurting for Hagens, and now it's Schrafer, or it's Schrafer is what I've heard.
Yeah, I'd say Schaefer probably, but
I've heard Hagens might fall to 4.
Yeah.
There's no consensus first overall. Of course, winning a first overall pick in any draft class, even a weak one, is going to help your franchise. But consider this. Listen, some person is acting like next year's draft class is this year's draft class. Someone is acting like the Penguins had a legitimate shot at landing Gavin McKenna, and instead they went all in. No, number one, they never had a good shot at the first overall pick, and they literally sold everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what else you want. What else do you want?
Yeah. Did you want that 4th round pick for Matt Grzelcyk, that 3rd or 4th round pick for Matt Grzelcyk? And also,
Chelsea,
like,
to not have that will set the franchise back for a long time, longer than people realize.
And also, let's not forget, too, I mean, this isn't like a situation last year where Jake Gensel was a pending UFA and he had to go. Like, yes, Raquel could have been dealt. They could have gotten futures at the deadline right now, but he still has 3 years left. So if they still recoup some assets in the summer, or if they decide to trade him, that's not going to be a world-breaking thing.
At the end of the day, his value will never be higher than it was at this trade deadline because of the supply and demand. There weren't many teams that were certified sellers, and those certified sellers didn't have a lot of wingers who were on pace for 30 goals. There really were no other certified sellers. I mean, look at the other wingers that got, dealt in non-hockey trades. So I'm excluding, obviously, Mikko Rantanen and Logan Stankoven. I mean, there was Taylor Hall, already gone. Kyle Palmieri. They didn't end up dealing him because they're going to try to re-sign him. Andrei Kuzmenko went for a 3rd-round draft pick. Like, Brock Besser. I'm not even going to comment on Patrick Alvin's comments because I've never heard a GM disrespect a pending UFA player who's given so much to that franchise as much as I did then. That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, was there anyone else? Yeah, like that's why I'm saying his value will never be higher. Not because he'll fall off a cliff. I don't know. He might. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But the supply will never be lower. And, he was on a heater. But again, like you said, this year doesn't matter. Does not matter.
Yep. And that's just...
It's a 2 or 3 game swing either way.
Yep. So they finished 8th instead of 6th. Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Kelsey, that set the franchise back.
Well,
I don't know. Listen, that grinds my gears, as you say. I think it's dumb.
I do say that a lot. Yeah. And, there's just... there's a lot of panic and a lot of narrative on Penguins Twitter right now.
Nothing in life matters.
Yes, and also just...
We're all gonna die.
Exactly. We all die someday.
From San Jose said when they broke his shutout in the
yeah.
Nothing in life matters. We're all gonna die. That is
quote
how
of the year
about this. What's he doing these days? Is he good?
I need to check on him. I feel like
absolute legend for that quote. Anyway,
but guys, like, it's at the end of the day, there's a process that's happening, and I think patience would be a good thing for everyone. You kind of just need to see how this process plays out, because whether or not people believe this, there is a plan that's being enacted, and it's going to take some time. So you have to think bigger picture here. In the big picture, getting an 6th overall pick or an 8th overall pick this season isn't going to matter. It's just not. Like, and there's going to be that guy that's selected at 14th overall that ends up better than the guy that's selected 7th overall. There's going to be that guy that's selected in the top 3 that's probably going to exceed expectations too.
Yeah,
the fact
there's going to be a guy that's selected in the 3rd round that's going to be better than all of them. Like, that's just what happens in every draft class. Like,
yeah, the draft is a crapshoot, especially a draft like this.
Yeah.
You set your sights on next year, and honestly, it's looking more and more like that Rangers pick is probably going to come next year, just the way that team's trending. It looks like they're probably going to be picking top 13. So, if you want to argue
that's
the
what you
merits of
want.
that for a draft
That's
like
what you
next
want.
season.
If you're the Penguins, you want the Rangers pick next year. You do not want it this year.
Yeah.
Because
and
next year's draft class is stronger, period. And honestly, the Rangers might win the draft lottery next year. Like, I mean, they've got no prospects. They've got
nope.
aging centers that they can't move.
Yeah. Listen, if Igor decides to, take a year off,
They've been
they're done.
PDO merchants for like 110 years.
Yeah. Paper Tiger 5-on-5 team is
Paper
as
Tiger
Dom from the Athletic
You
would
are the
say.
second person I've heard call them Paper Tigers in the past 36 hours.
Yeah, that's Dom from the Athletic. Shout out there. That's
Oh, is he the one that called him that first? Dang.
He did. He called him that like 2 years
down there.
ago because they're a fake 5-on-5 team. So
They are.
it's
And if their special teams doesn't add up to above 100%, they're cooked.
yeah,
Like
with
well above
goaltending.
100%. Like it needs to be like 105 or 106 or they're cooked.
Yeah,
And
that's just what it is. So you hope the Rangers get that top 13 this year. The Penguins can get maybe even better pick next year. And look, then we're talking because the Penguins could very well have 2 pretty high draft picks next season. So
I don't think it's out of the question to say they could. I'm not saying will. I'm saying could have 2 picks in the top 5 next year.
Hey, why not? It's that's why don't lose sleep over this year's draft.
The rebuild.
Yeah, don't lose sleep over this year's draft, guys. No. It really it's. I'm not saying they're going, like we said, there are going to be some players who really make something out of a career from this draft, but
there's going to be good players in every
crapshoot.
Yeah,
it's a crapshoot. It is, and if they're not picking in that top 4, which they were never going to pick in the top 4,
not unless they legitimately won the lottery, like we mean that in the literal definition of the phrase. They were never going to pick top 4.
Nope. They were never going to, and all you have to do is take a look at the Western Conference standings to explain why.
Yeah.
So
and
anyway,
I mean, even the Eastern Conference standings. Like, let's not count out the Sabres, and let's not. I mean,
the
yeah,
Flyers.
the Western. Yeah. Did you see the score? Yesterday, I looked at the score, and I had a text from a colleague. It's like, this is painful to watch. I looked at the score. It was 6-1 with like 5 minutes to go in the second period.
Yeah, sounded like the Penguins, honestly.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, that was the Penguins yesterday.
Yeah,
too,
and then I looked at the Penguins score, and the state of Pennsylvania was collectively being outscored 11-2. Or 11-1 at that point, because the Flyers hadn't even scored their second goal, and the Penguins hadn't even scored their first goal. Like, bad day to be Pennsylvania.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, once again,
I saw the funniest tweet today. It was like a Florida Panthers fan, because obviously the Penguins were playing the Lightning and the Flyers were playing the Maple Leafs. Like, all right, well, we are getting no help from the state of Pennsylvania because they're in a very tight race to win the division. I just really laughed at that.
Yeah,
the state of Pennsylvania is the number 1 enemy right now for a
lot
of Florida fans.
Yep. Well, don't expect anything
This is the
less.
best time of year. Like,
it is.
I love being on Twitter and just watching people get really, really mad at like bad teams for not winning against good teams because, it's that time of year. It's standings watch time. I love that. I thrive on that. I think it creates some of the best memes and jokes. This is just the best time of year, Kelsey. I mean, everything has meaning. You've got guys playing their ass off for jobs. You've got guys like Sidney Crosby trying to make history. You've got teams fighting tooth and nail to make the playoffs. You got teams fighting to, I don't know. What would you even say the Penguins are fighting to do? Live another day? Die another day?
Listen, this is
Another
actually
Bond title?
Well, I actually want to pull another quick narrative from your point because I actually do have to go soon. But so another thing that people need to understand that at the end of the day, these are NHL players. This is a locker room in the National Hockey League. These guys aren't trying to lose. They will never try to lose. Like, talent.
Sidney Crosby does not give a shit about the 7th overall pick. He does not. If you think he does.
Yeah. And beyond Sidney Crosby, you look at guys like Tristan Jarry, who is literally playing for he's playing for his NHL career right now.
Yeah.
And you think about guys like Matt Grizzlick, who are trying to earn a contract.
Yeah.
You know, you think about guys like Connor Timmins and Connor Dewar, who are trying to earn a contract. You know,
who are trying to not get bounced around. Like Connor Dewar, he's been in like 3 teams in the past 3 years. He probably wants to stay with a team for a 2-3 year deal.
Yeah. Philip Tomasino, same thing. He's an RFA.
Yeah.
He's playing for his next contract with the Penguins or next contract elsewhere. So you can't. At the end of the day, yes.
Erik Karlsson is trying to play his way off of this bad team onto a contender to win a Stanley Cup.
It's just they're
someone get Erik Karlsson a Stanley Cup. I don't care who.
Yeah,
even the Maple Leafs. Someone get him a Stanley Cup.
But at the end of the day, like, yes. In terms of the organization, it's better for them to lose this season. But you can't tell individual players to lose who literally have jobs on the line and who are playing for something next season. They're playing, and also too, I mean, even if you think about guys like Crosby, Rust, Raquel, Letang, all these lifers, Malkin that have been here. You know, I liked one of the quotes that Kyle Dubas actually said at the deadline, and he just said that they don't want losing to become the standard, because it's it's just
the thing. You don't want
that matters
ingrained in the culture.
That matters. So regardless of what you think this team should be doing right now, these players are still playing to win at the end of the day. They're just not talented enough to do so. And this heater that Jarry's on, like, it's made the team win some games, but honestly, for Jarry, this is the best thing that could have happened to him. So,
and honestly, it's a good thing to happen for the Penguins.
Yes.
I still don't think anyone will be a taker on his contract. Maybe you attach a pick to get rid of it. I still don't know about that. Yeah. I mean, it's not like they're contending. It literally doesn't matter. We're all gonna die. No, I think it's really dumb to say something like that, especially when you're not a fan. You know, I mean, sure, I understand when fans get mad about stuff like this, because for them, like, it does matter. Like, this is, you know, like the future of their team that they're going to support for the next 3-4 years. But I mean, with this draft class, whatever. Like, maybe if it was next draft class, I'd understand some of the rage. But like, dude.
Yeah, it's just.
It's not like he's gonna see this, but like, that's really something.
Yeah, and you know, I think even from fans' perspectives too, it's just there's a bigger picture here.
Go into that locker room and tell Sidney Crosby that you want him to tank so that the Penguins draft pick goes from the 9th overall pick to the 8th.
Yeah, guess what? He'll clock you in the face. Like,
I don't think he'll do that, because he hasn't thrown a punch all that often, like 10 times in his career.
Yeah, he might throw like a
thought.
He'll throw an emotional punch.
Like, no, I still like pulling the Mark Mathot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like, that's, you know, that Shorzy quote, like, he doesn't love the, like, he hates to lose or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying they don't love to win? I'm saying they don't hate to lose. Hockey players hate to lose. Like, you see it on them. Like, look at the players who, you know, have played every single game this season and have lost a lot more than they've won. That weighs on you, especially for the players like, you know, Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang, who are used to winning. You know, they made the playoffs nearly every season. for like 16 in a row or whatever. And then now they've missed it for the third consecutive year. That weighs on a person. Yep. Whatever. If they win 3 games in a row in the month of March, whatever. Like, I think that's probably good for them long term, like their mental state.
Yeah. And hey, I mean, like I said, you can't ask NHL players in an NHL locker room to lose games. That never happens. That doesn't even happen on a team like San Jose. It just doesn't. It's just
everyone
the way
is happy when they win. It's like, oh my god, they might hit 20 wins this season.
Yeah, it's just, guys, be patient with the process. That's all I'm trying to say. But also,
if you are going to tell an NHL player to lose games, to tank, to improve the draft pick in a weak draft class from the 9th overall pick to the 8th, have somebody video it. Break the internet.
Yeah, guys, it's just that's not the way things go. It's just not. But anyway, so we probably should wrap up. Is there anything else you wanted to add? I know this is your last pod.
I'll miss you guys. With us. I've really enjoyed being bad cop and being bitter and subtly throwing jabs at people, or not so subtly. Kelsey, I will miss you most. Zuko, I will miss you and your money lines and your occasional barks.
He was pretty
Kelsey, I will miss every single one of your computer malfunctions and your glitches. And even when you abandon me for like 5 seconds and give me abandonment issues.
Remember that time I abandoned you for like 5 minutes?
Yes! You know how many heart attacks I had during those 5 minutes? Don't joke about that.
Listen, you did a wonderful job talking about the Colorado Avalanche, though.
I literally remember. I talked about Mikko Rantanen for like 3.5 minutes. What was I saying? I need to go back and watch that just because I don't know how I did it.
Yeah, you did it. You did a great job. I was panicking just as much as you were.
You're like, oh my god,
like,
Anna's probably like name dropping people she hates on live air. Ah!
Well, the thing is, I didn't even know if it like kept going because it took me out of the studio and I started the pod and I was like, is this like still happening? Like, did it just cut out? And then I came back and you were just talking about the Colorado Avalanche. I was like, all right, I'm glad it like kept working. But yeah, I know you.
I remember. I don't remember what I said, but I do remember that right when you came back, I was nearly at the end of what I was saying, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna say afterwards.
So, anyway, the memories. I'm gonna miss having you on here regularly, but honestly, like, good luck in Vegas when you do eventually make the move. And if you haven't already,
real estate agent now. Shout out Angela.
Shout out Angela.
Shout out Angela.
But yeah, just if you haven't already, follow her stuff on Vegas Hockey Now. She's doing an absolute killer job over there. And
be sure to tell my boss that. All of you. Keep on the praise.
I'll do my best. But yeah, we'll continue to sing your praises on here and name drop you on occasion, especially if the Penguins are playing the Golden Knights. So,
well, that'll be next year.
Yeah. Well, that's I can't even think about next week. I'm just like I'm just trying to figure out tomorrow.
I was talking on the phone to my mom on like literally yesterday morning or Monday night or something, and she was like, when did the Golden Knights play next? I was like, tomorrow or tonight or whatever day it was. She was like, oh, who are they playing? I'm like, couldn't tell you. Haven't done my game notes yet, Mom. Like, I could not tell you. It's like, you don't know the schedule? I'm like, Mom, taking it a day at a time. I don't know how many hours of sleep I got last night, but I know it was a single-digit number, and I know it was closer to 1 than it was to 5. Like,
yeah, it's you got to take it day by day in this profession. It's just it's kind of hard not to. It really is.
Broke our record.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. We haven't hit 2 hours yet. This is the first time we've hit 2 hours.
For us, guys, we wanted to leave you on a high note, or at least a long note, and we think we did with that.
Yeah, and as usual, like I said, keep following us. Keep following Pucksnat, Pucks_. Nat_pod on X. Same thing without the underscores on Blue Sky. I'll continue to have, new episodes weekly through the end of the season. It'll probably be a little bit different in the summer once that hits. It might be an every other week kind of thing, just because there's not going to be much to talk about. But
and for that, I think I would be free more often than not. I mean, I don't know exactly when I'm moving because I haven't gone out there to tour yet. That's in less than a month. Woohoo! But I mean, in the summer, like, how many, realistically, you'll write about which free agents might you sign, and then you'll write about which free agents might you sign, and then you'll write about, oh, we signed this free agent. Here's how he might fit in. And you'll do like 7 pieces on that. And you'll beat that mule to death.
Yeah. Which RFAs should they
down
target?
the month of August.
Yeah.
And you're lost.
Yeah, guys,
so
summer.
I think we have a lot of time, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, summer writing for, off season and sports writing is very different.
I mean, off season sports writing in general.
Yeah. I might try to. We'll see if I can pick up a baseball gig or something. But
yeah, right.
Try to figure something out. But regardless, I'll still be around. And Hannah will still be around. We'll have her on when we can. But for now, thank you for just everything that you've done for Puxinat. And
girl, you carried every episode, and we all know it.
Not true. I literally just talked about your 5 to 10 minute ramble on the Colorado Avalanche. So
that was, listen, that's like, you remember those like 3 games that Kasperi Kapanen was good after he got traded to the Penguins? And then, that was my rant about Mikko Rantanen. Like,
don't think that's the same thing, but we agree to disagree. But just one last time, Anna, why don't you remind them just where they can find you, what you're working on, and what your plans are.
Yeah, no, I'm Hannah Kirkel. You can find me on Twitter at H_Kirk6. You can find me on Blue Sky and Threads probably, but I don't think I've been on either of them in probably over 2 months. So I could not tell you what my handles are. You can find me on Twitter and Facebook at Vegas Hockey Now. You can find me on the internet at Vegas Hockey Now. You can find me not in my bed because I don't do that sleeping thing. Find me on my couch writing articles until the wee hours. And you can find me hopefully on this Puxinat podcast as often as I can, coming back and hanging with my girl Kelsey.
Yeah, and you'll also be able to find her writing for a playoff push over in Vegas. So keep an eye on that. That will probably
Minnesota. Minnesota's a good matchup for them.
Yeah,
the Kings are not.
Yeah, I feel like the Kings, other than the Penguins this season, aren't a good matchup for a whole lot of teams. I don't know. Other than the Oilers.
Well, Kelsey, I say this every year. This is the year.
This is the year?
This is the year.
We'll see.
The Oilers are
I hope you're right.
Without Warren Foegele, without Dylan Holloway. Warren Fogel's turned into a hell of a player for the Los Angeles Kings. Look up his stats right now. I mean, he's a hell of a player, that guy. And he's doing that not stapled to Leon Draisaitl's wing. He's having a career year on the Los Angeles Kings. Anyone who knows anything about the Los Angeles Kings knows that's crazy.
Difficult to do.
I think this is the year. I do. Of course, they'll get swept in the Oilers will sweep the Kings in the first round. Now, because I said that. But I think if any year is the year, it is this year because Draisaitl and McDavid are banged up. The Kings, everything's kind of coming. The stars are aligning for them. They've got a fourth line that is competent. They've got 3 scoring lines. Andrei Kuzmenko was the best 96 addition at the deadline, as we all predicted. I think this is the year.
All right. We'll see.
No one bookmarked this, and no one at me when the Oilers inevitably sweep the Kings in round 1. No one at me. I will know. Like, I will have seen, unless it was on the same day as the Golden Knights, and then I will have seen the score updates.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, the Capitals had to beat the Penguins eventually, so it's going to happen at some point.
Don't say that, because I'll run with the narrative, Kelsey. I've got a lot of Kings fans in my life.
Yeah.
Don't say that to me.
Speaking of which,
Then I'll say that to them and give them hope.
Speaking of which, I really do have to go soon, but
Yeah,
I do
no.
just,
We've run way long.
I do just
I
want
could
to say
disagree
real
with
quick
you
too.
all day, but all good things have to come to an end.
Yeah, I do want to say real quick too. I'm very curious to see how the playoffs go for the Washington Capitals.
I am as well.
Because I still am of the belief that I think this is a really good team, but it's also a team that's overperforming.
And it's also a young team. I mean, you look at that, they've got Lars Eller, who won the cup with them, obviously Ovi and John Carlson.
Yeah.
Logan Thompson, LT, he's played 4 playoff games in his career. And then you look at their lineup, and it's a bunch of youth. I think this will be a learning experience for them. I don't know how far they'll get. I'm not saying they're going to be first round exits by any means. I'm just saying if they run into like a team on a hot streak, it might give them some fits.
Yeah.
I think the same thing about the Winnipeg Jets if the St. Louis Blues get into the final wild card spot in the West, because they're on an absolute tear right now. The playoffs are just going to be really interesting this year.
Yeah, I agree. There's just a lot of, I think, uncertainty. You obviously have the Capitals and the Jets, who have been the consensus top teams in the league all season long. But as you said, I mean, the Jets.
Like, how long can they sustain that?
Yeah, and I'm not convinced that, especially in the case of the Capitals, this is a team whose identity will thrive in the playoffs. I'd like to see that kind of play out a little bit.
I'm interested to see it play out. I have no idea, because I truly have not watched the Capitals enough to really say, well, this isn't the playoff style, like with 100% certainty. I've seen them play the Penguins. Anyone can play the Penguins well. There's the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins could probably play the Pittsburgh Penguins well.
I'm not even going to debate that.
It might be a 7-1 win, or what were those Hartford scores? No, but
24-5 outscored.
Yeah, that might be the final score of the actual Penguins, Pittsburgh WBS game. But no, I totally get what you're saying. I'm very interested to see how these teams that were in the top of the power rankings for the entire year, I'm interested to see how they'll fare come April.
Yeah. I think experience will be a big thing. And to be honest, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say Ovi's carrying them, because that's not the case. But
no,
the whole enamor of the whole enamor of the goal chase doesn't matter in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I mean those goals don't count. The playoff goals don't count.
Yeah, that's so. I think. Honestly,
do you want to briefly touch on the Jacob Chikrin extension? I don't think we did that on the podcast. I know we talked about that
really briefly, because I got to take my dog out. Really briefly. Yeah, I agree.
8 years, $9 million. Woo, boy. I think even with the cap going up, I think maybe $7.5 million. I would say closer to 7.
Yeah, I agree.
This is a career year. I don't know, man. I don't know how well that one's gonna age.
Yeah. And you know what? I think this might give you a preview of what some of these contracts are going to be looking like the next couple of years.
Absolutely.
Because I think GMs are way overestimating the effect of the cap, the effect of the rising cap on contract value.
Yeah.
And I think right now we're at a stage where, because this is something that's so new, it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of GMs kind of overestimate that a little bit and go a little too high.
Historically, every time the cap goes up, they hand out crazy contracts. Look at I want to say it was the 2016. Go back and just pull up a list of the 2016 free agency contracts. Go down that list. Kyle Oposo, he got a crazy deal. hard to really loop him in with them because of his injury. But I mean,
Yeah.
GMs are going to be handing out crazy contracts this summer, and if your team has a lot of cap space, maybe worry about that.
Yeah, and it's and also too, I mean, you think about, and I'm not going to get into this too much right now either, but even free agency, there are some big names that are,
but
set to
even if they're paid very highly, Mitch Marner in free agency, he's going to live up to that because
Yeah.
he's very talented.
Yeah.
You're worried about the guys like Sam Bennett or maybe
Like,
Brock Besser or
yes,
maybe
those
the
are the-
Steelers.
Yeah.
Because those are the guys that are borderline superstars, or borderline stars or whatever.
I'd say stars, yeah.
Yeah, borderline stars, and they're gonna get paid a lot of money this summer. Like you might see Sam Bennett make $8 million. I don't even know. Like I'm bad at math, period, and now the cap's going up, so
Yeah.
you might see Nick Ehlers making 8.5. You might see Brock Besser get a $9 million. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna see some deals that are gonna make you go, whoo.
Yeah, and that's kind of what this Chikrin deal kind of signals to me, because I wasn't necessarily talking about the Mitch Marners. It's these guys that are in the same breath as a Ricard Raquel or a Brian Rust, that are like borderline really good NHL players, bordering on stars. They're going to be making superstar money.
Yeah.
So it's
I don't think that's going to age well.
No. But I think a lot of GMs are going to overestimate those dollar figures this season. And I think this is kind of uncharted territory too, because we know that the cap is going up for the next
significantly for 3 years, but we don't know beyond that. It could not go up beyond that for a year, or it could go up just a little bit. Yeah. And then there's going to be a lot of teams out there who are going to hand out big contracts to one of those players that we were saying bordering on star. And that's gonna, especially because in 3-4 years they're gonna be older, and it's gonna be a summer, fellas. We're gonna look back at this summer and we're gonna say, "Oh boy."
Yeah, it is. And if you're a team that's looking to free agency, this season might be the season to do it, because if you think prices this summer are going to be outrageous, just wait until the next 2 summers.
I haven't even looked at like the free agent classes for like 2026 yet, because like you said, I'm not even looking to next week. But next year when the cap goes up, oh man, there's going to be some contracts handed out.
Oh yeah, the big fish. He's going to extend, but Connor McDavid is 2026. But
is he going to extend?
I think so. I think there's probably an unspoken contract, like an unspoken agreement between him and Draisaitl. I don't think Draisaitl would have extended knowing that McDavid wasn't 100% sure. So we'll see. But crazier things have happened.
That's all I'll say.
But yeah, Chikrin contract just insane. Honestly,
I think it'll probably be fine for the first couple of years. But that's just a lot of money, even for a good player.
Yeah, absolutely. And
this isn't us saying he's a bad player. This is us saying I don't think he's. I think that contract might look a little bit like the Darnell Nurse contract.
I agree.
Maybe not that aggressive, but
yeah.
They had very similar contract years.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this guy isn't Roman Josi. He's just...
He might make more than like Quinn Hughes and Roman Josi right now. Maybe not Roman Josi. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to look, but anyway, just crazy, and just be on the lookout for that. Through the rest of the season, and also heading into free agency. But unless you have anything else, that's going to do it.
I do not.
All right. Well, thanks for this is a record. This will never run as long as it did today again, but it was a special occasion. So, split this up between your next 2 work commutes, or if you're taking a long drive tonight, kick back, put on the Pucks and That pod, and listen to us ramble for 2.5 hours. So
we sure do ramble.
Yeah, and add a lot of last minute stuff like that. So, but guys, thanks again. Once again, thanks for listening. I'll be back at you next week with another episode. In the meantime, Thanks again, Hannah. We are going to miss you. And thanks for being a part of this journey with us up to this point. So
I am honored to have been on the ride.
Yeah, Ben, do you want to sign us off one
I
last
really
time
do.
here?
I really would. Guys, for now, goodbye for now. Stay out of trouble in that.